Financial happiness can help to unearth both possibilities and endless potential of genuine fulfillment. And for 59% of Americans, Empower reports identifying happiness, specifically the ability to spend money freely, and the priorities which bring them joy and happiness as their top priority and most important benchmark when achieving and assessing financial success. Meanwhile, Empower also reports that approximately 76% of Americans are willing to sacrifice big ticket purchases in order to be financially in the black, and an additional 73% would also consider strongly giving up social media to focus on making sure that they have financial wealth. And finally, 62% of today's society says that they would give up a gym membership in order to focus on their financial fitness and achieving their money goals. So how do we put all of this data into the proper perspective? For some insights, I want you to enjoy my conversation which I had with my friend, Dr. Nicholas Michels. He's an Amazon best-selling author, public keynote speaker, and elite wealth strategist, with almost 2 decades of experience guiding thousands towards financial happiness. He's the founder of Michels Family Financial and the creator of the Rich by Choice movement. Dr. Michels combines his doctorate in business and advanced psychology training and his multiple financial designations to help people align their money with what matters most: joy, purpose, and legacy. Dr. Michels has walked the path from hardship to success and is now dedicated to helping others build the life they dream of by choice, by equipping them with the financial acumen for prosperity. And he joined me this week to tell me more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Dr. Nick, if you're ready, my friend, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm super excited to learn about your career in finance and how you help people achieve financial prosperity. Great to see you, my friend, and happy Thursday to you.
Hey, happy Thursday to you as well. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll. I'm ready.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Nick, I'm interested to start our conversation by getting your opinion on research, from CNBC that reported that 60% of Americans today report that the economy, specifically the lack of affordability or economic anxiety, my friend, has affected at least one portion of them making a decision on a major purchase, like buying a house, car, or other major purchases, my friend. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on the whole affordability argument that's been in the news, my friend, because as more and more people can't afford things these days. And I'm wondering what side of the fence you come down on when we talk about affordability, my friend.
Yeah, Kevin, that's a really good question. The side of the fence I would come down on is compassion. I mean, my heart breaks. I mean, it's a sad, sad situation where there's a lot of Americans right now that are needing things, wanting things, and those things have become very expensive. And it's really put a strain on their finances, personal finances, which you and I both know when your personal finances are being strained, it absolutely affects your everyday life in every area of your life. So when I hear those statistics, it just makes me sad. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Kevin, but right now, are you familiar with what's called the APA? Have you ever heard of that? APA, American Psychological Association?
I
The
have.
American Psycho.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. They said right now, 90% of Americans are stressed about money. There's another research out there that said almost 70% of Americans are experiencing extreme stress about money. I mean, Kevin, I mean, that's so sad. That breaks my heart.
It's issue that requires a lot more conversation and analysis, my friend. So I'm curious, based on your career in finance, my friend, I'm curious what sort of solutions do you think we should offer to this problem of affordability, my friend?
Well, yeah. Well, what's going to happen is when it comes to affordability, is the reality is that things aren't. They're not going to change overnight. I mean, things have become more expensive. That what is it? There's only been one or two times in United States history there's been a deflationary period. It just doesn't happen very often. I wish it would, but it just does. Statistically speaking, it doesn't happen. History proves that it doesn't. So, what my solution is financial education. It's interesting that money involves every aspect of our life. When we wake up, where we sleep, what we do, everything has a cost. And the interesting thing is, no one teaches us about money. So the solution would be is for people to understand money, how to use money as a tool to better their lives, to put them in a better financial situation. Which then, once you become in a better financial situation, the affordability crisis begins to lower because people are being smarter with money and knowing how to maximize their money. Because just think, when you become better at something, you can maximize it. And so it breaks my heart with the affordability crisis, what you're talking about. One solution would be absolutely money education. How do we maximize every dollar? How do we make a dollar go farther? How do we maximize our own financial situation? And so that's what I love helping people do.
Yeah, and I know that your firm, my friend, Michael's
Hmm.
Family Financial, is built on one principle that you dedicate your days to helping clients achieve
Hmm.
financial confidence, clarity, and as a result, ultimately, their freedom, my
Hmm.
friend. So tell me, what do you think is the key to achieving financial clarity, my friend?
Yeah, those are great words. Confidence and clarity and freedom. They're very powerful words. And I'll have people come into my office, and this happens all the time, Kevin. Like we had this married couple. They spent, the past 3 decades building a business. They put their blood, sweat, and tears in this business. They loved what they do. They loved the people they helped. It was really inspiring. But they were changing into a new season of life. They were getting ready to sell the business and retire. And as they walked into my office, they sit down and just right off the bat, they start showing me spreadsheets and numbers and business evaluations and assets and dollars and cents. And those things are really important. But I told them, I said, hey, hold on just 1 second. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to all the numbers, I promise. But I told them that I cared more about them and their family than I do their money. And what I mean by that is when we sit down with people, we get a very good understanding of, hey, where they're at, who's important to them, what's important to them, what's the exact life that they want to build, the exact life they want to live. And then once we get a good understanding of that, then we can start to align all the numbers. So you talk about clarity and confidence. That's one thing I love about my job. Every single one of the clients that we work with, the families that we serve, they're absolutely different in a wonderful way. And what the life that they want to live is different. And so once we get an understanding of that, and we ask 66 different questions in 7 key areas of our lives to really get a good scope, because we say we specialize in point A to point B. Point A being where they're at now, point B, where do they want to be? What's going to set their soul on fire? And then we start building towards that. So that's when they get confidence and clarity of saying, hey, understand what we want, a clear understanding of how we're going to get there. Are we going to be okay? And can we do it? And so I love doing that. It's one of my biggest passions is making an impact on people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also curious, Dr. Nick, to ask you about the idea of becoming financially savvy. And what I mean by that is,
Hmm.
as you mentioned, we don't really get taught practical financial advice and education in schools today. So,
Hmm.
what do you think the evolving definition of being financially savvy means to you today, my friend? What does
Now,
that mean to you?
yeah, when I hear you talk about that, Kevin, what I think of one word, and the word is skill. I'll give you a little backstory. I played a little basketball growing up in my previous day, and when you play basketball, if someone walks into a basketball gym and they're taller and they're faster, guess what? They have an advantage, don't they, Kevin? They don't have an
They
advantage on the
do.
basketball court. Okay, but what I love about the money world and what I love about the business world is just about every single American, all of us, or every person in the world, money in business is a skill that we can all learn. And it just takes time. Just like anything else, if you dedicate a little bit of time and you put it on your calendar, whether it be 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and you're reading one good chapter of a book a day, you're watching one good video. Like we have a video education series that I'll talk about. That it take most of the videos are 5 minutes long. If someone just put it on their calendar right before work, at lunchtime, or right after work, they watch one video a day. Kevin, how much smarter would they be when it comes to finances? How much would their skill grow over a 3 month period?
It would grow a lot, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that would have a positive impact on their life substantially?
Of course they do. Absolutely. Knowledge is power, my friend.
Absolutely. I mean, like knowledge is the gateway to success, and so that's what when I think you talk about financial savvy, I think a skill, and it's the same thing. And what I love about skill is we can all grow our skill. It's just like anything else. If you just dedicate some time, and what that skill does is it has a positive ripple effect on every area of your life. So when I think of financial savvy, yes, it breaks my heart that money is not talked about in schools. In fact, my wife and I have a nonprofit. We go around to schools and we teach kids about money because somebody did it for me. But what I tell them and what I get excited about is, hey, this is your life. You have to take ownership of it. You have to decide that, hey, I'm going to develop that financial savviness, that skill, because we all need it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm also curious to ask you because you work with your clients to make sure that their finances are a blessing rather than a
Mhm.
source of stress. So tell me,
Mhm.
what goes into making sure that finances work for people instead of stressing them out, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Absolutely. And that's what we talked about earlier. And that's what makes my book, Rich by Choice, so different, why it's doing so well, and why it's becoming a bestseller all over the world, is because it takes the reader on a journey, just like we do with our clients. And it starts by understanding, hey, what's important to you, who's important to you. It helps you understand from a psychological standpoint, what are your own strengths and weaknesses? Kevin, we all have strengths and weaknesses. That's not sad. It's not being mean. We all have them. So, but no one understands and takes the time to really understand, hey, how are my strengths helping me? But then also, how are my weaknesses holding me back? And we give key strategies of saying, hey, how do we protect ourselves from ourselves? How do we put safety nets in place to protect us from our weaknesses while we improve on them? And then we understand, hey, what's the exact cost? How much money do we need to live the life of our dreams? And then so we start building it out from there. So when people start to do that, they start to get excited because Kevin, most people don't realize if my goal was to have $1 million or have $100 million or whatever that goal is, happiness is not found at the end of that goal. Happiness really begins, research proves this, the moment I start to take the first small step towards achieving that goal. And so that's what we help people do is get a clear vision of, hey, what are we looking for? What are we concerned about? What do we need protection from? What are we building towards? And then we start to take steps towards those. And then people start to worry, starts to become confidence. Concern and stress starts to be more joy and happiness in their life because they're building towards what they're looking for. And I love that about what we do.
Yeah, and Dr. Nick, I want to give you a chance to sort of humanize yourself to the audience, because I
Mhm.
know when you were in your childhood, you had sort of a full circle moment that changed your life when your parents
Mhm.
got divorced, my friend. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about it and how it changed your life, my friend.
Yeah, Kevin, I appreciate you asking that. And I get that question a lot. People are like, Nick, you're really passionate about what you do. And I am. And they'll say, where does that come from? Well, it does. It goes back to my childhood. And Kevin, have you ever had a moment that completely changed your life forever?
I
And you
have, yeah.
Okay, and so many people have, and mine was, it was the summer of 1996. I'll take you back. I was 10 years old. A 10-year-old boy. I was the middle youngest of four wild and crazy boys. My dad was an entrepreneur. We weren't rich by any means, but we were comfortable. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and and we were blessed. Like I really didn't even know what money was. I just knew that, hey, life's pretty good. The biggest chaos we have was on Saturdays when you got four boys playing multiple sports in Little League trying to get everyone to their games on time. But other than that, things were really good. But then it all changed, and it changed overnight. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in my room, which is my safe place. My mom walks in, and I remember she looks worried. She sits down on the bed, puts her arm around me, and says, "Your dad and I are getting divorced." And those words changed my life forever because it seemed like overnight my mom went from a stay-at-home mom of four boys to a single mom of four boys working three jobs just to keep things going. And so I mean, you can imagine right now by listening to me that our lives completely changed. I mean, any type of financial security vanished, comfort disappeared, confidence in our future was gone. And it was at a very young age I quickly realized how much money greatly influences all of our lives, either for good or for bad. And so it lit a fire on me. It lit a fire within me because we lived through that. And I never want that to happen to you or anybody that you care about. So I wanted to learn everything I could to understand. That way I could build, I could grow, I could protect. And then I can help people. And that's what we do and in my book does. It helps people become rich with money, very rich with money. But I also am passionate about helping people become rich in life, rich in love, relationships, rich in faith, rich in marriage, rich in creating exciting experiences with their loved ones. And then I teach you how to protect those riches so that no matter what happens in this world, you're going to have confidence. You're going to have excitement about your future. And so, yes, Kevin, I mean, my childhood of what I saw and what I lived through changed me forever. And I think that's why I love doing what I do today.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And in the spirit of transparency, I'll share the transformational moment in my own life because it leads to my next question. So, Dr. Dick, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. And I found out at the age of 9 that I would never walk for the duration of my life because of the severity of my disability. And when I was born 3 months premature, and I wasn't supposed to live past three and a half. And I'm now 36, and my birthday comes up in January. So and the last part of this story is when I graduated college, I was rejected 10 consecutive times by news directors because I originally wanted to become a sports reporter. But at the time when I graduated college, I was rejected because I was told because of my disability, despite my qualifications, they viewed me as a liability. So I have now, and it took me out of college 6 years to get my first paying job. So I didn't get my first paying job until I was 28 years old, and I've dedicated my adult life to making sure that employment for people with disabilities is at the forefront of our thinking when we look at hiring practices and the rest. So I'm curious with your background in finance and helping business people with their finances. I'm curious because last week we also celebrated the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. What do you think it means to be financially inclusive and the importance of giving people with disabilities a shot in the workforce? What are your thoughts there, my friend?
Oh, I think it's wonderful, and I love your story, Kevin. I mean, you're a living testament, living proof of perseverance, and it's amazing what you've done. And it's also a testament to if you give someone a chance, what can they do? And so the word inclusion and being open to giving everyone a shot, and especially someone who has a desire to help others, I think it's wonderful. So my thoughts are, I think it's great what you've done, and you're an inspiration. And I think people that you quote unquote said have a disability should be given opportunities. I think it's in, like I said, what you're doing, Kevin, is amazing, and you're paving a way, which I think is incredible.
Well, I appreciate that, and I
Mhm.
want to ask you about the whole idea of being financially sort of critical of decisions that we make in terms of,
Mhm.
a lot of people today are making decisions between do I pay the rent or do I buy groceries? And I know I asked you about affordability earlier, but I also
Mhm.
wanted to ask you about making critical financial decisions that set us up for a more prosperous future. What do you think is the recipe to being successfully financially critical? What are your thoughts there, my friend?
Yeah, and Kevin, that's a really good question. I mean, that's a wonderful question on how do you set things up and make those critical financial decisions. And what helps when you make critical financial decisions is what I talked about when we take people through the process of first understanding, hey, what's important to them, who's important to them, and then you align that with their overall financial landscape that's going on right now. So, like if I'm looking at a life and I say, hey, this is the life that I want, this is where I want to be, these are the goals that I have, whether it be peace, independence, security, adventure. What am I searching for? What does that look like? And then I start to look at my finances and I start to look at my budget. And then I can go down because my goal when I work with people is not to tell them what to spend their money on, how to spend it. No, I just give them a clear understanding of, hey, what's important to them, who's important to them. And then let's look at where our money's going. Does it align? Because there's so many times, even in my own life, where I'll say, hey, my wife and I, this is what we're building towards. This is what's important to us. But then we look to where our money's going, it doesn't align. And we're spending money on things that don't make us happy, aren't helping us get closer to our goals. So my advice to people is take the time and I walk through simple exercises and strategies within my book that help people do this to really get a good understanding. And Kevin, this is not anybody's fault because life comes at us fast. Just think about it. Days go by so fast and life comes at us fast. We're in a hypersensitive time with technology. And so what I do is I help people slow down to really understand themselves, where they're at now, where they want to be. And then let's look at their financial landscape. Are they aligned? What can we do when we start looking at things and where our money's going? You ask yourself these questions. Hey, is it making me happier? Is it bringing more peace in my life? Is it helping me take a step closer? So when people start to do that, there's always strategies, and I show that in little things that they can do to improve their financial situation, and I show them that in the book. And so that would be my advice when it comes to these critical, because the word critical is subjective. That's situation. So that's what I help people do.
Yeah, and let's talk about your book, my friend, and the process of writing it. And I'm also curious about whether you learned something about yourself through the process of writing the book that might have surprised you, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I learned a lot about myself because when you write a book, or this is my experience, when you write a book and you truly care about what you're doing, you truly care about the people you're helping, you have self-reflection time throughout the whole process. And it allows you to go deeper. And if you really want to make a lasting impact, you need to share. Like my wife and I in the book, we share not only our success stories, which there's many, and there's a lot of great success on how we propelled our life forward. But Kevin, guess what? There was a lot of setbacks along the way. A lot of mistakes made, a lot of things that were learned. And we were really cognizant, which means we really want to share those. And so we were very vulnerable, and it's tough doing that. It's not easy to be vulnerable and let people know that says, hey, this is where Nick made a mistake. This is where Nick had to learn the hard way. And in doing that, I wanted to help people understand that, hey, even myself, I've made mistakes, and this is what I learned, to let people know that they probably made mistakes and that's okay, but also to help them learn from my setbacks. And so I learned a lot about myself in understanding. And as I pull back the layers of myself, in understanding my own strengths and weaknesses, where I've had success, where I've had setbacks, and sharing those, it was a big self-discovery process.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Nick, I'm also curious to ask you if I asked you to teach a course on financial literacy, and I asked you for your top three steps for creating a viable financial plan, and I realized that financial planning is individual sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
I also wondered if you had any steps in terms of your top three of creating a creatively, innovative financial plan that's universal. What would be your thoughts there, my friend?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And I'll get to my top three, but I'll first tell you this, Kevin. When someone comes sits down with us, we focus on six key elements. Like we go really deep. Like so we first get understanding where they're at and what they want to be and who they care about. But our six key areas we go really deep is number one, investment consulting. How do you make smart decisions with your money? Number two is we increase their cash flow, which is huge, so important. Next is we're proactive in tax strategies. No one's doing this. No one's talking about how you save money in taxes because it's the more money you save from taxes, the more money you're keeping in your pocket. We spend a lot of time on how we can be proactive in taxes. Then we talk about asset transfer. How do you make sure your loved ones are taken care of? Very important. The next is asset protection and lifestyle protection. Hey, how do you make sure your assets and lifestyle aren't unjustly taken? And the sixth one, which all of our clients check mark those first five, they get to the sixth is charitable giving. How do we make a larger impact and lasting impact on the world, which is very special to us, and setting up the next generations as well. So to say give me three, I mean that's really hard because finances are so encompassing. There's so much, and everybody's so unique, which you just said that. But if I would say three, you would have to start with the foundation. You would say, hey, you can't spend more money than you make. I mean, that's number one, because if someone's going net zero or net negative every month, there's nothing I can do. Not even Warren Buffett can help you. I mean, he's one of the smartest guys in the world when it comes to finance. He can't even help you. But the next one is to give. I mean, it is. I believe in the law of attraction. The more you give, the more it comes back to you. And you don't give just to receive, but you give out of the goodness of your heart. And then number three is becoming very clear about what's important to you and where you want to go, because life's going to throw you curveballs. But if you understand who's important to you and what's important to you, it's going to make those curveballs seem less important. And you're not going to make an emotional, bad financial decision. So when you say three, those would be the three right there. But yeah, I would caution you, Kevin, because when it comes to finances, there's so much involved when we talk about building for the future and in protection and investing. All these things are so important. So it's hard to come with three. I'm so sorry.
And no, that's totally fine. You gave me a comprehensive answer, which anyone can learn from. So I appreciate that. And my next two questions, my friend, I want your perspective on some statistical data. And the first piece of data I'm going to share with you comes from the New York Live 2025 New Year Outlook, my friend, which reported back in January on goal-oriented confidence, my friend, and it found that around 64% of Americans feel confident that they will meet or exceed their financial goals and aspirations for the year, my friend. So when you hear that statistic, my friend, I'm curious what comes to mind for you.
Yeah, and Kevin, that's a great question. When I hear that statistic, I get excited. I do get excited because if people are meeting or exceeding their goals, that's fantastic. I mean, God bless them. I mean, really, my heart jumps for joy, and I hope that's too true because I read this book one time. It's called Factfulness, and Factfulness teaches you not just to listen to something the media says or a certain stat because things can be skewed one way or the other. It's to do your own research and say, okay, where did they get these numbers from? Because the numbers I'm seeing don't align with that. I mean, Ramsey Insights has a great one. They said a little over, I think it's 5.75. Only 5.75 of Americans right now, 5.75 are on their way to being financially free or currently financially free and experiencing financial peace. And what they mean by that is achieving their goals, living a life that they're happy with, not overall stressed or experiencing extreme stress we talked about earlier. So the statistics I'm seeing are far worse than that and I've read. But if the stats you give me, if they're true, I think that's fantastic. And the thing is, this money stuff, like the 90% of people are stressed about money right now, almost 70% are experiencing extreme stress. And just like the Ramsey, only 5.75% are financially free or financially happy. This is nothing new. Do you know who Earl Nightingale is, Kevin? Have you ever heard of that name before?
I have, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's the book called The Strangest Secret. It's a wonderful book. Go read it. But he said even in early 1900s and mid 1900s, which that was his heyday, he said if you took 100 kids about college age, all excited to take on the world. I mean, filled with enthusiasm, ready to chase down their dreams and the life that they want. By the time they get to their 60s, only five will become successful. And he defines it as similar, achieving their goals, somewhat in a good financial situation where they're financially independent. Only five. So what it's saying is the numbers aren't getting any better, which breaks my heart. And so people dealing with financial struggle is real. And Kevin, this in my book, that's why I talk about these when I talk about the financial struggle, I don't use statistics like, only X% of Americans have, a little bit more in emergency fund, or only X% of Americans have $1 million. No, I love the percentages when it comes to our psychology of emotions because it doesn't matter if someone is classified as extremely poor, middle class, wealthy. Everyone deals with stress, and my goal is to help you overcome it because the goal is when we die, it's not saying, hey, I want more money. No, when we look back over our lives, Kevin, we're going to be thinking about a life well lived, a life of amazing significance. Now we need money to do that, but it's setting people up where they can have more peace, more joy, more happiness, less worry, less concern, less stress. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Nick, a couple of years ago, back in 2023, the Pew Research Center surveyed Americans, and they said that only 13% of today's Americans, they admitted that they know a little to nothing about their personal finances and how it works. And then last year, Yahoo Finance also reported on the global sort of financial literacy excellence in terms of the Center of Finances globally. And it found that only 48% of people were financially literate, my friend. And I'm curious, what do you think when you hear those numbers and statistics, my friend?
Yeah, it breaks my heart. It really does. And some numbers that I've seen that are almost 70% of Americans right now couldn't pass a basic financial literacy test with the most basic questions on there. And that breaks my heart. When my wife and I, we go talk at high schools, and like I said, someone did it for me and it completely changed my life. They helped me understand a little bit about money, which started my process, and it's completely changed my life. So I try to pay that forward. But when I'm there, I'll say, hey, my wife and I are talking to him. We'll say, hey, my name is Nick. I own a financial firm. We manage or consult on or help families all around the world with billions upon billions of dollars. So you would say, does my life revolve around money? And they'll go, yes, yeah, of course it does, right? But I'll say, guess what? So does yours. And like we talked about earlier, when they wake up this morning, I draw them a picture. They're in a house, they're in an apartment, something that costs money. There's AC, there's heat, costs money. They're in a bed, they brush their teeth, they comb their hair, costs money. They eat food, costs money. They take vitamins or medicine, costs money. They have electronics, they go to school. Everything costs money. So why is it the one thing that involves every aspect of our life is not being taught to us? And so those statistics break my heart because it's not going to change. And when I talk about everything, money involves everything. It's not changing. So my goal is to help those numbers, Kevin, to help teach people that they can be empowered. They can have a better future. Because like I said, someone did it to me and it empowered me going, oh, you're telling me my future can be better than my past? I absolutely want to learn more about that. And so that's my goal is to help people and improve those numbers because it breaks my heart.
Yeah, and Dr. Nick, I know that there was an $8 million lesson that changed everything for you, and
Now,
you want to talk about the psychology of wealth, my friend, and what mindset is most important when it comes to financial math. So tell me, what is important for people to know about those concepts, my friend?
yeah, after well, two things because you brought up the $8 million one, and what started that was yes, we were offered $8 million to leave one firm to go to another back before we started our own company, and I started to see some cracks in the financial industry, and not with every financial firm, not with every financial advisor, but I started to see things I disagreed with. I mean, things that really broke my heart. And like the corporate greed, the almighty dollar was more important than the people they were serving. And that broke my heart. So my wife and I, we decided to start our own company and do things our way where we can help people. And I've never looked back since. People go, Nick, are you crazy for passing on that kind of money? And the answer is no. Because once you set your heart on something and what you do day to day aligns with what you believe in your heart, there's joy and peace in that. And things we've never looked back and things have just taken off since. But when I come, you talk about integrity and learning is that you have to understand what's important to you and the life that you want to live and what's your core values. What are your core values when it comes to life, when it comes to money, when it comes to faith? And are you living that out day to day or trying? I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But when you use the word integrity, that's what I think about. Are you in alignment in your life and what you truly believe in your heart? And that's what I would challenge you if you're listening today. Take the time to understand, hey, what's important to you? Who's important to you? Are your daily action, all the money that you're spending, is it in line, aligned with, hey, where you're at and where you want to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Rick, what do you think it means to be financially resilient, my friend?
Yeah, good question. That word resilience, a very powerful question, Kevin. You know, many years ago, I wrote my son a letter and I talked about, in that letter, I told him, I said, hey, when you see me, you might see finance because I own a financial firm. You might see basketball because I played basketball. But what I want you to see, son, is happiness. And that I'm happy. And what my goal for him, why I wrote them this letter, is just to tell him that I wanted him to follow his own passions, follow his heart. No matter what happens, my goal for him was to be happy. And I gave him a list of certain characteristics, values, such as our faith, keep God first, everything else second, have integrity, try to help people, hard work, perseverance, all those things that I call success secrets. But looking back now, instead of happiness, what I should have wrote him, I told him this. I said, I should say, I want you to be resilient because happiness is on the other side of resiliency. Because all of us, you, me, every one of you listening right now, you're going to go through ups and downs in life. Life's going to throw you curveballs and you're going to have setbacks. But every day, wake up and keep pushing forward because when you're resilient and you make mistakes and you learn from them, the goal is don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. That's when people get in trouble. If you make a mistake, learn from it and persevere on, and your life should continue to get a little better every day. And so, perseverance and resiliency, huge, huge importance.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Dr. Nick, as an old sports reporter, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, but in what role has playing sports had in your life, my friend?
Oh, playing sports was wonderful. I loved it. You know, I love competition. You know, when I was younger, I told you about my humble beginnings, and so when I stepped on the basketball court or sports field, you know, every all the struggle and pain from my life disappeared because it just was an escape. So I really loved it, and I was lucky. I was blessed to go on to play college basketball. I was a multiple All American, multiple time All American, and even I was blessed to be able to go over to Europe to play professional basketball, which was a dream. I mean, it was so much fun to be able to travel the world, and I got to meet so many wonderful people and see the world. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I was blessed, I was lucky. But what I've learned from that is very similar to business, to life. It just takes consistent daily effort. That every day, whether you're a husband, a wife, a spouse, a brother, a businessman, businesswoman, an athlete, every day you wake up and you're consistent with your effort and consistent in your goal to grow. Like Warren Buffett says, your goal should be grow 1% every day. And if you compound that, it's a lot as time goes on. And so I've learned that everything equates to that, that you
Af-
have daily actions and you wake up every day and you pursue them with all your heart.
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
Dr. Nick, I'm curious, what are your current sports passions on the professional level, my friend? Do you have a particular sports team you live and die with, my friend?
No, I wouldn't say live and die. I do enjoy sports. I love watching sports. You know, what I really love right now is our kids. I get to coach all of them in sports, whether it be in football, baseball, basketball, soccer, swimming. I just love being there with them and involved with them. I mean, that's what I'm really passionate about because when kids are young, they grow up so fast, and these times are so precious that uh, um, I'm just enjoying, you know, each day that I get to do that with them.
Well, I tell you, being a dad is the most important job you'll ever have, right?
It is. It is. And it's just like anything else. There's ups and downs, but you just wake up every day and you just keep trying.
Yeah, I got three questions left for you, and
Sure.
since you brought up parenting, I'm curious to
Hmm.
ask you, what do you think is the key to successfully, raising kids today, considering that the societal goalposts consistently change over time when it comes to raising kids successfully, the pressure
Hmm.
they're under today. So I'm wondering,
Hmm.
what is your best piece of advice for successful parenting, considering the societal pressure kids are under today? I'm curious to get your answer there.
Yeah, you know, there's, I mean, I could write 7 books on parenting. It still wouldn't even be enough. So there's a lot there. But the first things that come to mind is number one is you got to live by what you're preaching. You know, I had someone in my life that gave me great money advice. And not only was it really good advice, but the proof was in the pudding in the sense that the person who told it to me was living it out. So it was really impactful. So as a parent, you have to remember what we say matters, but what we do and how we live matters even more because kids are smart. They see everything. They know a lot more than we give them credit for. So how you're living, are you being an example of what you want your kids to grow up? And be honest with yourself. It is. And now again, being a parent's tough. It's not easy. There's some tough times. So give some grace to yourself, but really look in the mirror and say, hey, am I the person that I want my kids to be? Very, very important because that's powerful. But number two is the power of intention, understanding of who the core values and who you want your kids to become. Yes, are you living it out? But are you making time every week to teach your kids? Like right now, we have certain times during the week we call it adversity university. And what I mean by adversity university is I'm carving out time on the calendar to teach my kids life skills and things I want. Because like I said, when you have little league practice and church and all these other extracurricular activities, life goes by so fast. And so you need to be intentional with the things that you want you to teach yourself. So number one is, are you the person that you want your kids to become? Are you a living example? Very powerful. Number two, are you being intentional? But number three, I think it's almost impossible to fail as a parent as long as you care. And what do I mean by that, Nick? Well, what I mean by that is when you care about something, it doesn't mean you're perfect, but you're going to wake up every day and you're going to try. You're going to wake up every day and you're going to try to learn new things. You're going to try to improve. You're going to try to get better, and you're going to keep on trying. So as long as you care, about being a good parent, care about your children, which means love them to death and will care about their future, you're going to be successful because you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to evolve, and you're going to help them along the way. So those are three things that I think are not everything, but very, very powerful. And like I said, the last one is give yourself some grace. Being a parent is not easy. There's some tough times, but man, are our kids worth it? And yes, they are. I mean, they're the light. Our kids are our most valuable asset. I mean, they are amazing and they bring more joy to us than anything else. And so we try to spend as much time with them and helping them develop as possible.
Yeah, and just because I'm curious to get your answer, I'm going to sneak one more question into my
Sure.
last two. You know, I'm a big college athletics guy, Dr. Nick, and
Okay.
if you watch college athletics now, you know, name, image, and likeness is all over the news, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious from a financial perspective and lens, my friend, your perspective on a name, image, and likeness and how it's being governed from a financial perspective and the future of college athletics under this model. My friend, from a financial perspective, I'm curious to get your answer because I know we're both passionate about sports. So.
Yeah, it's such a difficult question, Kevin. It really is because there is so much money in college sports. I mean, like, you're talking about billions upon billions of dollars. And anytime there's that much money involved in anything, I mean, look at the history of the world. Look at the history of the world. Whenever you remember more money, more problems. Whenever you have so much money involved in something, there's always going to be problems. So, do I think the landscape is perfect right now? No. Now, do I think they're trying? Yes. Will it get better with time? Yes. Now, these kids, the tough thing about it is, I think about my own self. I think about the Nick Michels when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. If someone gave me $1 million, $2 million, $5 million or more, I probably would make some mistakes with it. Actually, I know I would make some mistakes. So I want to give these kids some grace because that's what they are. They're kids. Um, Now, do I think they deserve to have money? Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes, because you have a corporation that's making tons of money off of them, and so they deserve to be payment? Yes. Do I have the exact details or specifics of that? No, but I would like to see more things to protect these kids, because that's what they are. They're kids and they're receiving a lot of money. So I don't have the answer, to be honest with you. I wish I did, but when you have a bunch of money involved, there's going to be a lot of issues. Now, because you got to think a lot of these athletes, they come from very humble beginnings. I mean, this money could really help them and their families, which I'm pro that. I think that's wonderful. I saw a story the other day. There was a Michigan State football player. His mother passed away. So sad. He took on the role of as an adult, and I think he had three or four siblings where he adopted them. If he didn't have this NIL money, he wouldn't be able to take care of them. They might be living on the streets. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
heartbreaking. So you see stories like that, it gives you a good feeling. Now, again, I go back to, is the perfect landscape perfect? No. Is there problems? Yes. But is it helping some people and their families? Yes.
Well, it's an issue that I think we could have another podcast on. But I'm curious to end on this two-part question, my friend. And I know
Hmm.
that you are all about helping people achieve financial joy, and I'm
Hmm.
curious to end by asking you about the future of financial prosperity in America and
Hmm.
how you define that. And finally, I'm also curious to ask you about your own personal and professional legacy, my friend, and how you want that to be defined.
Yeah, Kevin, these are really good questions. I love your questions. You're doing such a good job. The first thing we talk about, the financial future of America and what that looks like. Again, it goes back to what I love about my job is, um, I encourage every single person to take the time to understand what is their definition of financial independence, of financial freedom, of a financial abundance. Because what is going to make you happy, Kevin, to where what's going to make me happy, to what's going to make Mr. and Mrs. Smith up the road happy, it's all completely different. So you can't just give one definition. It's what does financial abundance and happiness and all that mean to you? And most people can't answer that. They can't say, hey, this is the exact life that I want to live. These are the things I want to do. This is the relationships I want to have with my kids. This is what I want to fill my days doing when I retire and how much money do I need to do it. Most people can't answer that. They'll just say, hey, I want to retire or hey, I want $1 million. No, I challenge people to go further than that. Really understand. I give exercises in my book to really understand what that means to you and how you build a life around that. Now, the second question is my own personal legacy and business legacy, and I don't really see a difference. It's the same, it's me. You know, and that's a really good question. I'm a person that loves to learn, that loves to grow, and loves to help people. My legacy is the one of love and helping others to growing and understanding what works, how you can improve your life, and then helping people use that on their own life to where they can benefit their own lives. And I get joy out of that. It's not just the dollars and cents to me. I get great joy and fulfillment on helping people better their lives. And again, based off what that means to them, what's most important to them. And I get great joy in that. So my legacy, I guess you could use it as a rock being thrown into the water. If I threw a big old rock in the water and you'd see a ripple effect going, my legacy is that ripple effect. How many people can I help and how much can I help those people?
Yeah, absolutely. And just before I ask you how people can get connected with you, you said something
Yeah.
that sparked my interest. So I'll follow up with this in terms of government involvement in helping us to be more financially independent as a society. And as you know, interest rates are recently been in the news about whether they'll be lowered or higher or stayed the same. So
Hmm.
I'm curious to ask you about the role of the government and
Hmm.
how they can help Americans become more financially independent.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'll answer that question with a challenge for each of you listening is go learn monetary and fiscal policy. I'll say it again, monetary and fiscal policy. It's so important on the key elements of how government plays in economics and why they do the things they do and look at what history points towards. I'm not going to because we could have talk about politics and we could be on here for 6 hours. So I'm not going to go down that road. But what I want to challenge everyone is go learn a little bit about monetary fiscal policy. Learn why the government does what they do. Now, I'm not saying they're perfect. Absolutely, they've made mistakes and things like that. But if you learn monetary and fiscal policy of what's happening, why it's happening, what they're trying to accomplish, doesn't mean they always do. But the point is, once you have a good understanding of that and you start to understand that more, things start to become a little bit more clear in how you can set yourself up for more financial freedom, financial abundance, and a better financial situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mhm.
Dr. Nick, finally tell me if people want to get connected with you or buy
Yeah.
the book, what's the best way they can do that, my friend?
Kevin, I got a gift for everyone out here right now. And right now, if you're listening, this is my gift to you. It's absolutely free. If you have your phone, go to www.richbychoicebook.com. Richbychoicebook.com. And right there on our website, you'll see a free gift. Click that green box that says free gift, and then you type in or click the chapter that says compounding by choice. Compounding by choice. And this chapter, we have received so many success stories all around the world from this one chapter. And when people think about compounding, Kevin, you think about compounding interest, don't you?
I do, yeah.
It is, and it's absolutely it's the eighth wonder of the world, as Albert Einstein said. Those who understand it can use it and make money off of it. But here's the one thing the chapter goes into. Yes, it teaches you about compounded interest and how to use it to benefit you, but it also tells you that every area of your life right now is compounding. and it's either compounding for good or compounding for bad, positive or negative. There is no stagnation. It's either positive or negative. And it's an exercise that takes you through to understand the key areas of your life, your relationships, your marriage, your friends, yes, your money, your business, your health and wellness, your growth, your faith, all the areas that are important to you. And it gives you and helps you come up with a strategy of simple little daily habits that you can start to incorporate in your life, and you're going to start to see all those areas to improve. People love this chapter, and I love seeing how it's making a positive impact around the world. So remember, richbychoicebook.com. Type in, click the box that says free gift in green right there on the homepage, Compounding by Choice. It's a free gift. It's from me to you. I hope it helps you just as much as it's helping everyone else.
Well, Dr. Nick, I have to tell you, as I told you at the outset of our conversation, I think you're really doing great work in terms of helping people achieve financial and life prosperity, my friend. And it was a real delight for me to engage in conversation with you this afternoon. And I want to thank you for being here. It's most appreciated.
Hey, Kevin, I appreciate you having me. I just love what you're doing. I love who you are, and I just wish you and everyone listening nothing but health, wealth, happiness, love, peace, and joy, my friend. Just thank you, and God bless.